Hi everyone, thanks for joining us again on our first tutorial it's not the first tutorial, it's our third tutorial for Microsoft Excel. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at formulas, which essentially is the crux of using Microsoft Excel. The main purpose of using spreadsheets is to utilize the functions of formulas. So first of all, I'll get people to open up their shares portfolio worksheet. So this was the worksheet that we were previously entering information into. And we're going to be using this shares portfolio spreadsheet or worksheet to enter in various formulas in order to create calculations on our shares and how they've performed. So I'm referring to exercise tutorial 4. So in this first tutorial, we're going to be looking at how to put in a basic formula for the calculation of our purchase cost. So first things first, we'll click into cell F2, which is this one here, and we're going to put a basic formula in. Now, the first most important thing to note is every formula needs to commence with an equal sign. That essentially tells Excel that what we're entering in now is actually a formula, equal sign. So we enter the equal sign. And then in this formula, we're going to calculate our D2. So I've just clicked into D2 now, and you'll see that the cell reference, which is D2, appears automatically in the cell that we're entering the formula in. Then we're going to put a multiplication sign. Okay, so on your keypad, you would have to hold down your Shift key and press on the number 8. And that will put in a multiplication sign. And then we're going to click on our cell E2, which contains our purchase price. So this formula to calculate the purchase cost will be a formula that will multiply the quantity of shares that we have with how much each share has costed. Once we've put the formula in, you're happy with that, then you hit enter, and automatically it will formulate and give you the answer to cell F2. Now, the next important thing that I want to cover is this drag drop function. Now I'm going to just undo that and go through that again. It's actually quite important. It's covered in, if you look at the next page, it's called the autofill handle. That's the actual correct term for it. Now how that works is when you click on a cell, you've got a little box that appears. Now you need to actually hover your cursor on top of that box, and you'll see that the cursor changes into an X. Once it does that, you hold down your mouse key, you click on that little box, and you drag it down. Okay. So what that does essentially is it copies the formula that you've entered and it pastes into each cell. But the key here is, as you can see, the formula changes in reference to the position it is in. So here the formula is D2 to E2. When we drag down, the formula in the next cell will actually read D3 to E3. And you will see this one is D4 to E4. So the cell reference, or the formula that is contained, or cell reference formula, it changes it changes as per its relative location. It's an important thing to note. Later on the track, we're going to be looking at other types of formulas which are called absolute formulas. So that's called the autofill handle. Okay. So we've put our basic formula for purchase cost. We've done 4.1. We've done our autofill, which is 4.2, over the page. We're going to put in a basic sum formula now into F10. Okay, so here we're going to put a basic sum formula. So once again, we start off with the equal sign. I'm going to type in sum, open brackets, and I want to add all these cells. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click and drag down so that all the cells that I want to add into my sum formula is included. Then I'll close my brackets and hit enter. And you'll see now that the total of all these figures are added up into this particular cell here. So that's a very basic sum formula. There's another way of doing it as well, and I'll quickly show you that other way as well, because it's a lot of times most people like to use icons. So auto sum is here. So if we hit auto sum, automatically it will make the assumption that you are going to be adding all these cells from F2 to F9, and essentially all you're going to be doing is hitting enter to affirm that this is actually correct. So it's a lot quicker and easier. So just to repeat that again, you simply click on the icon for auto sum. It will automatically highlight what it's going to be adding, and then you hit enter. Okay, so that's auto sum in the sum formula. Next, we're going to put another formula in. This time we're going to be putting it into H2. So we've clicked onto H2. We start off with an equal sign. Then we're going to click on G2, multiply. So that's Shift 8 for the multiplication sign, and D2. So in this formula, we are going to be multiplying the quantity of shares held by their market price. Enter. And now once again, we click on this cell. We find the little box here, and that is called the autofill handle. We click on that autofill handle, and we drag down. That will add those formulas into the remaining cells. And we'll do the same thing for our addition. So the same thing will apply if I click on this little autofill. This time around, though, I'm going to drag it to the right-hand side, like that. You'll see here now, if I click on that cell, it will tell me that it's a sum. It's summing, adding all the cells from G2 to G9. So essentially what it's done is copied this formula and it's brought it across to the right, these columns. Okay, we'll add another formula, and this time we're going to practice a subtraction formula. We're going to be working out our profit or loss. So we'll once again click onto our cell I2, where we're going to put our formula in for the profit and loss, equals H2, which is our current market value, minus, take away, our H2, market value minus market purchase cost. And once again, we hit equals, we click on the cell, find our autofill button there, and drag that down as follows. And we'll do the same thing for the sum formula. We've clicked on the sum formula over here, clicked on autofill and dragged it across. Okay, so that's the profit and loss, and we'll put another formula in, a formula for the profit margin. Now this time we're going to put in a division. So it's the same process, click on the cell, equals, I2, and division button, and H2. enter, click on the cell, autofill button, click on that, and then drag that down. And if you wanted to put the sum, you do the same thing over here. Okay, so we've done division. So far we've done multiplication, subtraction, and division. And we've put a sum formula in. 4.4 auto sum and statistical functions. Auto sum. Okay. Okay, so essentially I've just covered that already by clicking on the icon, so we know how to do that. It's got our answers here. It's saying that the answer should be 37600. That is referring to D2 to D9, D2 to D9. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do the same thing over here. We'll click on the cell. It wants us to put a sum formula in here. So we'll click on sum formula here, and automatically it will select what it believes is what we're trying to add, and we hit enter. This is actually correct. And it wants us to, as in steps 2, insert a sum formula for H2 to I10, so H10 to, okay, so we've already done that, so that's fine. And then we've got our answers at the bottom of the page, and yes, I believe we are on track. Okay, over the page, now we're looking at some statistical functions or formulas. We're going to be looking at average, max, and min formulas. Okay, so we'd like to put the answers. Okay, we are going to be looking at, in the first instance, we're going to be looking at our average. Putting a formula in, that's going to calculate our averages. Okay, so essentially how this works is we want to put a formula into this cell that's going to search through all the cells here and find out what the average figure is and put the result into D12. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and find our statistical formula. So that's the fx insert function. So we go to insert, and I'm looking for formulas here. So it's the formulas, and then we go insert function here, and we're looking for average. So there's another way of doing it. If we simply type in average in the search, go, it will find the appropriate formula, and then we click on OK, and then it will tell us which range you want to use in this formula. Now here it's got D2 to D11. Now we don't want our total figure included because it's not going to give us the average of the shares that we hold. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to click here, backspace, and 9. So that will include all my shares. And once I've done that, I'll click on OK. And as you can see here, it's 4,700 is the average number. And if you have a quick scan, you'll notice that that is about correct. So now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on the autofill button here and drag it across. And what that will do is it will apply that average formula which is created in C12 and add that to all the cells going across. And we're going to do the same thing for max and min. So we click on the max button over here, insert function. I can see it here, so I'm going to click on that. If not, I would simply type in max, enter, click on OK. And once again, it is asking us to put a range in. Okay. So the range is D2 to D9. And we keep on OK. And having a quick scan, yes, that does look like the maximum number here, the largest number. So drag that across. And I'm going to do the same thing. This time a min formula or a minimal formula, insert function. Min is here. Click on OK. D12 to D13. No. We want D2 to D9. So I'm going to change that. D2 to D9 as follows. Click on OK. And having a quick scan, yes, that is the smallest number. Drag that across and copy that formula to the other end of cells. So that's the 3 examples of some statistical formulas or functions that can be used. Now, if you have a look at the insert function, you'll notice that there's quite a vast variety of possible formulas that you can use, and we'll have a look at some of these later on, such as VLOOKUP and so forth. That will just give you an idea anyway. Okay. Now we're looking at 4.3.3, creating a new column. Market value has increased by 7%. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into K1 and we're going to put a new heading in. This new heading is going to be called Markets Value Increase by 7%. And we're going to put a formula into here. It's going to work out our market value as per a 7% increase. So the formula is going to look like this. We're going to go equals H2, which contains our market value, and we're going to increase it by 7%. Now, how do we do that? We hit our Shift 8, which puts a multiplication symbol, and we're going to increase it by 7%. So 7 and a percentage. Looking at my keypad to find the percentage, that's 5. So if I go Shift 5, it'll put the percentage symbol, and because I want to increase it by 7%, I'm going to then add that on top of my market value. So it's going to increase it by 7% and work out the increase for me. So I hit enter. And now I'm going to click on that cell, which contains a formula, and drag it down. If you have a look at these cells, you'll see that the same formula relative of its reference point is there. Now, the other thing it wants us to do is to select the cells and change the format to a currency format. So as you can see, these are normal figures. I'm going to now select those cells as follows. I'm going to right-click my mouse button and go to Format Cells. It's taking a bit of time, isn't it? Here we go. So I'm going to select, so at the moment it's general. I'm going to select currency, and I do want a dollar sign, and I do want it to a 2 decimal point. Click on OK. You can see here that it will add our dollar sign and obviously add the decimal points as well. Okay, so next we're going to be looking at comparison operators. So this is where we want to put a formula in to the spreadsheet that's going to work out whether certain cells are larger or smaller between 2 values and give us a true or a false reply. To start off with, we're going to put in a heading. This one's going to be called Purchase Cost Greater or Larger than Market Value. Type that in. Purchase cost greater than, we'll put the greater than symbol, which is Shift, greater than symbol, market value. Enter. And our formula is going to be placed into L2 equal sign to start off with, and we're looking at F2 greater than H2. So is F2 greater than H2? If that is the case, it's going to give us a true. If it's not, it's going to give us a false. So if we click on that and drag down, you'll see here, for example, that in this scenario, the market purchase cost is less than the market value. And hence, it's a false reply. Okay. All right, the next one will be purchase price less than market price. So put the heading in, purchase price less than our, that's actually less than or equals to. Okay. So what we need to do in this scenario is put in our less than symbol and also our equal symbol. So it's going to give us whether it's less than or equals to as a favorable true. If it is greater than, then it will be false. And that's market price. Type in market price. You hit enter. Now we'll put our formula in. So we go in equals purchase price, which is here, less than or equals to our market price. This one here. Enter. And we'll do the same thing. We click on the cell, find our square here, drag it down, and we'll apply that formula to the rest of the cells. What we'll do as well is we might as well just quickly fix this one up as well by clicking on that cell here which contains our sum formula and bring that across as well. Like that. Okay, so that concludes the greater than or less than comparison operator. And that's it for tutorial 4. The next one we'll be looking at is absolute and relative cell referencing. So just to conclude, we learned some basic formulas in this tutorial, adding cells, summing cells using a sum formula which will add a range of cells, subtracting, dividing. We put in basic formulas that work out averages, maximum and min. And we most importantly looked at how to apply a formula to a range of cells by using the auto field. Now this may occur, this tells us that the cell is actually not wide enough. For some reason, if I go back and see what's happened. Okay, what it did is it tried to add that formula into this cell as well, which we don't want, and that's the reason why it gave us that result. So disregard that. That concludes tutorial 4. Until next time, take care.